took down this panther. Portola Valley, California. Jacques Littlefield's restoration crew is fitting their Panther tank with a new turret. Even without the gun, the massive turret still weighs over 15,000 pounds. There's no margin for error.
It all lifted up. There's very small clearances between the bottom of the turret and the top of the deck. As the turret turns, it can interfere with the driver's hatches or the engine hatches. And you're talking, you know, 1/3 of an inch in some cases. So you had to get everything right. And of course, if the turret doesn't turn exactly around, the basket that's hanging underneath it will be ob-round and it won't track properly either.
They've been waiting 3 months for this day. The fit has to be perfect.
Watch your head. Yeah. I'll get it center, front to back, and then I'll move it over to the left.
No, boss is on the gearbox.
Okay, come down a little bit.
Probably gonna have to shift that way a little bit more. Just a tiny bit. There you go. You gotta kind of watch the back too, Keith.
Yeah. Come down a little bit slow. Yeah. Come down slow. How's it look over there, Greg? Hold it. Hold it. Come back up a little bit. Up.
It's hitting on the back corner here, Keith.
Yeah, it needs to go forward.
Forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that go down that time? How's it look over there?
I think you're down.
I think it's down. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Looks good from here. Okay. I'm turning. It turns.
After 3 long years, Jacques' crew has victory in its sights. Now, it's down to the final details.
After all, when you're working on things like seats and radios, it shows you've come a long way. You're not, banging away on rusty iron, chunks of iron and rust, and we're past that point pretty much.
And as the Panther nears completion, the story of her death can finally be dredged up from the past. The Black Nita River flows past the Polish village of Bielecki Mills. Jacques' Panther spent over 40 years submerged beneath these waters. Henrik Grolitz was there that day in 1990 when the broken Panther was dragged out of the river. Edvard Tuchinski was a terrified 16-year-old witness the day the tank was destroyed. Both men can now open a window on the final moments of Jacques Littlefield's Panther. January 1945. In the dying months of the Second World War, the Soviet army was pounding the Germans into submission. The battle around the village of Bielecki Mills was ferocious and unforgiving.
Nazywam się Tuchinski Edward. Mieszkam tu od urodzenia. Mieszkam od urodzenia. Tutaj u nas to był dzień. U nas to był świt. Rozpoczęła się wojna. Porą, koń, krowy, wszystko nie dało, to nie dali uciekać, bo nie mamy. Nawet tu nie było czasu patrzeć na to. Był moment. Pociski grały, że trudno było wytrzymać.
Under fire from fighter bombers, the Panther tries to escape across the frozen river. In many sections, the river runs 3 feet deep. But the crew makes a fatal mistake. They try to take their 45-ton tank across a section of the river that is much deeper than they realize.
Niestety nie udało się, lód pod tą Panterą załamał się i osiadła na dnie. Dość mocno Niemcy mieli pecha. W tym miejscu rzeka ma prawie 3 metry głębokości i czołg osiadł.
Trapped and soon to be overwhelmed by the enemy, the Panther's crew followed standard military procedure.
The standard procedure with any army is that if you abandon a tank that's otherwise operational and the enemy might capture it, is there is a procedure for setting charges.
The source of the mysterious explosion that destroyed the turret is finally known.
There was a charge set in the turret because the turret was completely blown apart. I suspect from looking at the way the rust and the other damage patterns are that perhaps it sank down as far as the top of the hull, so that when the explosion went off, it blew the turret apart, but did not do lots of other damage, even to some of the thinner pieces of sheet metal inside.
Od dawna chodziły legendy o leżących czołgach w rzekach Kielecczyzny, czy też w bagnach Kielecczyzny. Miejsce, które jest za nami, również znane było z tego, że był tutaj zatopiony czołg niemiecki. Czołg ten został po ofensywie 1945 roku. Kilka z tych czołgów, które stały w Czarnej Nidzie, a tak się nazywa rzeka, która jest za nami, zostało przez polskie wojsko po wojnie zabranych stąd i rozebranych, pociętych na złom. Ten czołg został się, było za ciężko go wyciągnąć i dlatego został aż do lat 90.
The mystery of the Littlefield Panther has been solved, but completing this mechanical puzzle requires cooperation. Jacques Littlefield and Dave Marion have crossed the Atlantic to meet up with Kevin Wheatcroft and Alan and Brian Rudder. Both crews have spent years restoring their Panthers. And throughout the journey, they have helped each other get closer to fulfilling their dream.
Jacques Littlefield is obviously a renowned collector. He's a great guy to get along with. He's very helpful, he's very free with information. We've shared a lot of parts and a lot of knowledge between his mechanics and our mechanics.
It's really worked out very, very nicely. It saves us a lot of time and effort. And because his mechanics were the farthest ahead, they were the ones we would call when we had a problem. How did you take this apart? How did you take that apart? What did you do for this? And of course, they had all the answers.
With both teams helping each other, completion of the Panthers is within range. The Panther. Born in Germany, destroyed in Poland, now reincarnated in California. For die-hard collectors in peacetime, a restored Panther is a dream come true. But once upon a war, coming face to face with this tank was a nightmare you'd never forget.